I just want to move on to the nutritional deficiencies in autism, in my son Holden's autisms. The lab that you see on the screen right now is showing a bunch of different vitamin uh, and mineral deficiencies, and really a lot that's too high. So one of the things that people get caught up in, and we did too, with autism, is we start to hear all these things about how, oh, megadoses of this will help. And you start throwing a bunch of vitamins and minerals at these kids, and then it taxes their kidneys or gives too much of something. You can always have too much of a good thing, right? So, what happened with Holden's case is that he ended up having a high dosage of certain vitamins and minerals in some parts because we were giving him supplements, and in others, like for example, this copper that you see right here, where it's high, that's very high. It's supposed to be, no higher than 155 here. So let me show you what was going on for him, because we got this blood serum panel from a regular pediatrician. And when you come over to this spectra cell that we did, and the spectra cell is really awesome. I'm going to show you. Ooh, let me flip around. I'm sorry. Oops, la 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 la. There you go. This particular lab was done on August 31st. So I just want to show you the time lapse. There's no time lapse. Over here on this lab, it was done August 13th of 2012. And here you see that he actually has, on the other lab, a copper overload, and here a copper deficiency. And then he's got vitamin B and B1 and B12 deficiencies here, whereas it's too high in the other one. So let me explain how this happens, and why you don't want to just start throwing supplementations at these kids, even if it comes out that there's a deficiency. You want to find out what else is going on in their body. In this case, let me give you an example. The yeast overload that he had actually made him have less bioavailable copper, because the yeast ate up the bioavailable copper and then excreted a toxic version of that copper that was scrambling his brain, because copper can also make you go loopy. So the fix for the copper deficiency and overload was one and the same, and it was get rid of the yeast. So I just want y'all to know there's these great tests that come out, these spectra cells, they're just invaluable. I love these bad boys. They really go into the specifics on even repletion suggestions, but that's kind of the problem, because if we had indeed given him the 200 micrograms per day that this repletion suggestion said, we would actually be increasing his copper toxicity and causing him more problems. So that's something that you definitely don't want to continue doing. The other thing, for the cysteine, there's something called N-acetylcysteine, and it is remarkable. I would highly recommend. There's a lot of different things that can help with, but he had this tick, and his arm would shoot out. At first, it was a screaming tick when he was 18 months old. We called him our screaming caterpillar because there was one on the Simpsons, and he would scream like every few minutes, ah, and then he'd even have like a Tourette's kind of tick, and we'd laugh because he'd say stuff like seductress, and we would be like, oh, why is he saying seductress? But he then had like this arm tick where his entire arm would shoot out like every few minutes, and then his face would like get all scrunched up, and it was awful to watch. And then he also had like the typical, covering his ears when a smart car would come by, just because the frequency was a certain level, and the tags were bothering him in the clothes. N-acetylcysteine is a detoxificant. It's an amino acid that they used for Tylenol poisoning. It got rid of that. It was amazing stuff. You got to get it. He was low in carnitine as well, but the doctor explained to us that you have to have an acetyl molecule to go along with the carnitine for it to pass the blood-brain barrier. So we had to get L-acetylcarnitine, not just regular carnitine, for it to affect his brain. So I'll